You're watching TVC Breakfast. President Muhammadu Buhari has issued a stern warning to persons who compromise building regulations and quality standards in the country, stating that such persons will be punished.
The president gave the warning in Abuja when the leadership of the Nigerian Institute of Quantity Surveyors visited him at the presidential villa on Tuesday. In the space of 3 weeks, 3 buildings have collapsed, all on the Lagos Island area of Nigeria's commercial hub. The most heart-wrenching is the Mercy Street incident, where a 3-story building housing a school collapsed, killing about 50 people. To curb a reoccurrence of this, the Lagos State government set up a 5-man committee of experts who on Tuesday held a public hearing on the matter. The gathering had professionals in the building sector, which include Institute of Town Planners, Institute of Builders, Architects, Engineers Standards Organization of Nigeria, Institute of Estate Surveyors, Lagos Emergency Management Agency. Well, joining me is a fellow of the Nigerian Institute of Architects and National President, Building Collapse Prevention Guild, George Akinola. Thank you for joining us on TVC Breakfast this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Now, one building collapse too many, and especially on Lagos Island. Some have said perhaps materials and all of those contributed to it. But when you look at the peculiarity of Lagos Island, the sea water, the salt, the levels of the sea water, some have said could also constitute a challenge.
Yeah, seawater can be a challenge. The salinity of the water can corrode steel members in the concrete, and oxidation can happen, and that can lead to brittleness of the steel and collapse. But beyond that, is the issue of Lagos Island is more complex. It's a plethora of problems.
Oh, and break it down for us.
Yeah, for example, the soil condition in Lagos Island is peculiar. It's sandy, it's close to the ocean. So you have to do the proper geotechnical test before you can put up a building there. You have to do your soil test properly and employ the services of a structural engineer to analyze that soil test.
All right,
before the architect can come up to put a design that will survive there.
Now there are also talks about areas where you have that are properly planned and where you have proper network of roads and drainage systems, that you rarely find the building collapse in such areas. And you know how the Lagos Island is with regards to this. Yeah. How does this also contribute to what is happening there now? Okay,
you will notice that the kind of collapses that we're having are basically low to medium level kind of development, under 50 million naira kind of construction, where a lot of people, quacks and co can come and play. But the high end, the high rises, you don't see them collapsing. The well-planned environments, you don't see them collapsing, which goes to emphasize the point that professionals are they are needed to properly put these buildings in place. If you don't have professionals, if you cannot pay for the professionals to do the work that they are trained to do, by this I mean the architects, the planners, the builders, the quantity surveyors, the estate surveyors and valuers, all of us. If you don't have us doing what we are trained to do, you will continue to have this. But a lot of people in this range of construction activities, they tend to have low budgets or are unwilling to spend. Yes, they cannot
afford that amount. So now the government or the Lagos State is being called to, look at low-cost housing.
What are we talking about when we are talking about the amount that the professional charges? A professional charges under 5% of the total cost of construction. Whereas when a building collapses, you lose 100%. Which one is wiser? To lose your investment or to just pay the proper professional who will do the proper job for you? And you were talking about the Lagos State government putting up a committee.
Yes.
We addressed the committee on these matters, and we have gone further to advise them that they have to go digital. You have to codify houses, codify buildings, codify designs, codify professionals.
When you say codify, how do you mean?
Form a database of all these players, the land, the building itself, the approval process and the design that was approved, and the building after it was constructed. Make sure that each one of these has codes and put them in a
But don't you think that that is a cumbersome process, looking at the number of houses in Lagos and the population in Lagos as well?
The whole world has gone digital. And if you still want to remain analog, you'll be running around the whole place, looking busy, achieving nothing. But if you codify, if you feed everything to a database, easily from the computer screen, you can easily determine which building is sick. You can easily check when a building collapses, what caused it, which professional was involved, which house it is, how it was procured, and a lot of things like that.
Now, the president has issued a stunt. It's like reading the Riot Act. How much of a game changer will that be to this issue against building collapse?
The laws have always been there. We didn't need to wait for the president to make any statement.
But we did wait, and then he had to make the statement.
When he made the statement, has it changed anything? But what we're looking at is application of the laws. 500 laws, 0 application. If you apply the laws properly, things will...
When it comes to application of the law, like you said, 500 laws, 0 applications, who should implement the law?
There are processes. Earlier I was talking about the building procurement process. If you procure your building properly, you hire professionals that are properly trained to build, properly trained to execute building construction.
How about people are making monies every day? People are, in fact, and every young man in Nigeria is growing up having at the corner of his mind, I need to own my own home and all of that. A lot of people are ignorant about what the processes should be, what certification I'm supposed to get, and all of that. So they hire people, they have the money, so they hire people and they build their homes.
So government should concentrate on enlightenment. BCPG as the body I head, we have been doing a lot of advocacy, a lot of engagement.
What impact has all the advocacy had on the people?
Okay, that's why we are having all this talk everywhere. You know, a lot of people are changing. People keep asking questions. They make calls. People report sick buildings now. You know, so a lot of buildings have been saved, or a lot of lives have been saved from collapse because of all these advocacies that we are doing. So it's something, but it's a systematic problem. It's a systemic problem that has been on for 100 years. You can't correct it in 2 days. So you should expect more collapses, except the right things are done. The president made a statement, he read the Riot Act. Do you have to read the Riot Act before people know what to do? Before the country, the laws should be applied. And some things have to be done differently. I was talking earlier about codification. Now there is this thing about code enforcement. There is a Nigeria Building Code that was approved by the Executive Council November 2017. November 2018, rather, by the Executive Council. And if this is properly applied all over the country.
What's the difference between, for instance, if you're buying a car now, brand new from the manufacturers, there is no way you're going to drive that car on the roads if you don't have a number plate. There is no way you're going to move around without having a driver license. There's no way you're going to move around without having car particulars. All these things are in check. Why don't we have the same for housing? If you don't have certain certification by a certain body or certain, you cannot be allowed to even erect a building.
Those are the laws we are talking about.
So that's what I'm saying. There are institutes like yours that should help also, keep these things in check. So do we need the president or the government to come do the implementation?
We don't really. Okay. Now, something about the government agencies. They are very culpable too. All of us are culpable. But in one way or the other, government agencies are there to implement all these laws. But you see, most of them, sharp practices, corruption all over the whole place, they compromise the system. In which case, somebody who's expected to be earning salary in government wants to earn fees like a private practitioner, outside government. So
is this meant to be the Ministry of Housing or?
Ministry of Physical Planning, okay. And all these various agencies there.
All right. George Akinola, thank you very much for coming on the program.
You're welcome. Thank you so much.
Right.